What is up, y'all? Welcome back. We're doing a this or that. This or that is the extraordinarily clever title I've given to this series on my channel, where I ask y'all to give me submissions about 2 or more products that you are agonizing between. So if you're new here, I'm Kackie. I maintain an encyclopedic stash so that I can swatch and compare things for y'all. We talk about color theory, art math. We talk about performance. I give you my opinions and hopefully help you make more informed buying decisions for your next makeup purchase. So it's the first one of the year and it's been a minute since we did one, so I have a ton of really good kind of new topics to talk about, like new comparisons that we haven't done in previous videos. But I will include at the end a playlist of all of my this or that videos, because there's a good chance if I don't talk about your submission in this video or anything that you're thinking of, and it's a product that's existed for a while, I've probably already done it previously on the series and it would still be helpful to go look at it. So before we jump in, I wanted to talk to y'all about today's sponsor. Yes, we are talking about the most intuitive thing to give and receive on Valentine's Day, which is coming up very quickly. This portion of today's video is sponsored by my good friends over at Ana Luisa. And if you are unfamiliar with Ana Luisa, they are my favorite jewelry company because they are climate neutral, they are affordable, they are beautiful, they only use recycled gold, they do gold plated jewelry, solid gold jewelry, silver jewelry, diamonds, beautiful, beautiful things. There's always new stuff coming out on their website. And this Valentine's Day, I'm choosing to focus on self-love. I have some rituals where I've been giving my time back to myself. And one of those things for me, y'all know, is taking more effort in getting dressed. Recently, I got a question on my channel that was like, how do you wear your wardrobe? Because that's a hashtag I kind of created at the beginning of the year. I was like, wear your closet, wear your closet. I have so many great clothes and I don't wear half of them. And someone said, how do you put the outfits together with like special items instead of feeling like you're saving them for later and still, you know, make the outfit work and feel familiar? And I was like, honestly, accessorizing. There's just something about adding a ton of gold jewelry that makes an outfit like this. It makes the difference between it working and not working. And going to my jewelry box, having the ritual of just like adorning myself is truly giving my time back to myself. And I love shopping their website because they always have new things for whatever mood I'm in. So I wanted to share with y'all the new things. This is mainly my earring stack this time, but everything I have on is from them. I wanted to share the new stuff with y'all today. So we have these beautiful little double hoops here. So it's like a rope chain link hanging on a solid chain link, goes perfectly underneath my plugs. Never been an issue. They have a lot of them that are this shape that have kind of the connected post on either side, which makes it really easy to wear with my plugs. And I just think that they are a perfect twist, so to speak, on a hoop. Like, I love a hoop. They've got a really dazzling selection of hoops on their website, from solid gold to gold plated to silver and even like tortoiseshell. But these are like new to me. It's like a new shape, but I still feel like it's super wearable on the everyday. It can be dressed up, it can be dressed down, and it just makes me feel pretty. I'm really excited to share this one with y'all. I know you're like, Kackie, that's a hoop, you know, BFD. But the thing is, y'all know I've been wearing a hoop ear cuff, just a plain hoop ear cuff from Ana Luisa for literal years, and I never take it off, and it got discontinued. And so I'm always talking about it. I'm like, but it's like, you can't buy it. So they came out with this one that is just as elegant, just as simple, and it's just tapered on the edges, so it's like more comfortable to wear. So now you can get this vibe. It's minimal, but it's still a statement kind of vibe with just the plain ear cuff, which I love. And you can get this again. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it looks exactly the same, and it's super comfortable to wear. And just like the other one, I never take this off, which is just so easy for me. So the last thing are these adorable little Huggies. I love a Huggie because then I can sleep in it. I like to switch these out, but I love an earring to feel installed, you know, that I don't have to worry about it. And this has these cute little pearls on the front of it, and it's just nice because I do wear a lot of ear jewelry, like I just like to, and I love having the like different sizes. I feel like it really adds to like the maximalism of it without it being in any way like in my way. So I invite you to imagine this look without any of the jewelry. I promise you it's not as effective. I'm always wearing a ton of their jewelry. It lasts and lasts. It's beautiful, it's affordable, it's sustainable, and they are offering up to 25% off site-wide right now for Valentine's Day. So definitely check that out, either for your loved ones or for your self. So check out my link below to shop Ana Luisa, and thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this portion of today's video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the this or that of it all. Oh, I have a pile of things to compare. And honestly, y'all always blow my mind. I say this every time, but y'all always blow my mind with the comparisons that you ask for. I'm always like, whoa, I never thought about comparing those two things, but it makes perfect sense. You all have beautiful minds. Okay, so the first one that we have here is the Danessa Myricks versus the Patrick Ta Neutrals palette. So I do have the Danessa Myricks Groundwork palette, and I am a big fan of this, but I do admit that it's not for everyone. And I don't have the Patrick Ta one, but I have other Patrick Ta palettes, and they have mattes in them, and I can only safely assume that the matte formula is the same between all the palettes. So my opinion is that, well, first of all, let's swatch the powders versus the powders here. See if we can, you know, they're not going to be the same color, but the difference between the performance of these formulas, even though this is a lighter shade, in fact, let me do a deeper shade so you can see it better. The Patrick Ta formula is really pigmented. I would compare it not necessarily in its texture, but definitely in its payoff to something like ABH. It's like a prestige eyeshadow the way that you would think of it, right? And Danessa Myricks, her shadows in this palette perform more like a luxury eyeshadow where they just have a little bit lower pigment and they build more slowly and they just kind of blend and feather more easily. I think that her powder formula is more beginner friendly, and it's actually more kind of friendly to the way I want to do my makeup. But all the reasons that I just said that I prefer that could be the reason that you prefer the Patrick Ta formula. So the other thing that I feel like is obvious to point out here is that the Patrick Ta one is going to be all, well, actually that's not true. I was like, it's gonna be all powders. It's not. It's got these little primers in it. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say y'all come up with comparisons that like never even occur to me. So this is Patrick Ta's cream. It is slippy as all get out. I do not think of this as a primer, okay? So there is that. Look, it's like shiny. Like you gotta set that with a powder. It does not make me think the word putty. Whereas the Groundwork palette, these are putties. So in the bigger pans here, you end up with these almost like you took an eyeshadow stick and just put it in a pan. It doesn't completely dry down, obviously, because it's a cream in the pan, but look at the difference there. This is just an easier thing because it's kind of a hybrid formula. I feel like it's easier to use a brush with it and it's not gonna gum up. It's a lot easier to control and it blends more easily. I have never found these to be useful. Sorry. I don't really get it. They're just too glossy. So intuitively you can see I don't own Patrick Ta's palette, so it isn't necessarily just personally very appealing to me because I do feel like his matte formula isn't really that applicable to how I like to use makeup, and the creams don't really make sense to me. But I do always caveat a recommendation for the Groundwork palette by saying, if you don't think that you're going to use all of these shades, go get yourself some eyeshadow sticks, because 3 eyeshadow sticks, 2 eyeshadow sticks that are the colors that you would use the most in here are going to be a better investment than getting the entire palette. This is a fantastic palette for all of your neutral needs, but maybe your neutral needs could be met more easily than this even. That's just how I would compare them. I do prefer this one, but again, I don't think that it is for everyone. Okay, this is interesting. A cooler toned alternative to Fleurtatious. I'm begging. That's what this person said. I got you, bestie. This is Pat McGrath Fleurtatious, one of my favorite, very pale, neutral, beige blushes, powder blushes, in just one of the most lovely formulas ever to be conceived, okay? Like, it's just one of her best moments is this original formula. But I do understand the need for a cooler tone version of it because I've watched Hannah put this on, Hannah Louise Poston, and it's straight up peach on her because she has very pale, desaturated olive undertones. And so that's what this does on her. Like, oh, it's so lovely and pink and soft on me because I have neutral undertones. So allow me to introduce Self-Made in the colorful blush from Sephora collection. This is such a lovely little formula. And look at that, she's a little bit cooler toned. It's a great buy. They have a very similar formula, very similar payoff. I just find this to be kind of a reckless abandon, blush without caution, as Pat McGrath calls it, kind of formula. I really can't say enough about it. I mean, obviously it's not as pleasing of a packaging, but like, it's also a very low investment. And I think that that is exactly what that is a cooler tone version of Fleurtatious. So I hope that that satisfies your need. Chanel Baume Essentiel or Givenchy Liquid Highlight, which is more subtle, do either have glitter? Okay, this is a good one because if you are curious about these two, that means I haven't done my job well enough because they're very, very different from one another. So here we have the Prism Libre Skin Curing Highlighter from Givenchy, and I should say, I love both of these products very, very much, and that's because they're really different. They serve different purposes. There we have the Prism Libre, and I will say, because I think it's worth swatching also, that this is not as cost effective, actually, as getting the LeBlanc Rosy Light Drops from Chanel. They are different, but they are more similar than the Baume Essentiel is. So there are the two of those. So this is $50. This is, I think, $37, maybe even more, and it's limited edition. And you can see it's meant to be a highlighter, and this is meant to be more of like a primer, but you could really get just as much of a highlight out of it. This one's a little bit more neutral. This one's a little bit more cool pink, but like as luxury things go, they're very, very similar. And then we have the Baume Essentiel, which is a balm. Like, let's not get it twisted. It is mostly texture, and the texture is what I find the most appealing. This doesn't dry down. It stays balmy on the skin, but somehow does not disturb the makeup underneath. So you can get a clear version of this. You can get a champagne version of this. I just happen to have Dragé, which is the pink version of it, and it is a beautiful, lightweight, again, completely uncomplaining, hydrating balm on the skin, but both of these you can already see are drying down. Only do the Baume Essentiel if you want the actual hydrated texture on the skin, but if you want just the glow, and you want it to dry down and remain undisturbable, essentially, then you want to go with the Chanel Rosy Light Drops or the Givenchy. And to your question about glitter, no, none of them has glitter in it. None of them has like detectable actual glitter particles. It is just pure pearlescence. Westman Atelier Stick Foundation versus the Fenty Eaze Drop Stick. This is another really, really good comparison because these are very different products. And I think that the demonstration is going to make all the difference in the world to you as far as deciding which one is for you. So the Fenty is, to me, a hydrating all over foundation stick. You could use it to spot conceal, but it just doesn't have that much coverage, and that's fine. It's however you want to use it, but it is a kind of dewy, balmy, lightweight, gorgeous, medium coverage, medium to light coverage skin tint stick. I would give it a 3.5 on my arbitrary scale of coverage. And the Westman Atelier stick is entirely different. It is, for all intents and purposes, full coverage that blends out seamlessly. I shouldn't say full coverage. It's like an 8 though. Do you see that? Like, if you were to put that all over your whole face, you could get, albeit a little cakey, you could get full coverage from that, and that is not how I recommend wearing it. If you watch Gucci Westman apply this product on models' faces, she is using kind of a flat foundation brush and just buffing it ever so slightly because it's meant to mimic true skin texture, and it has a high intensity of pigment so that you barely have to use any of it. So to me, it's not really a foundation. Yes, it's called a foundation stick, but it's just like a flexible complexion camouflage thing. It's kind of, to me, more similar to the Blunder cover from Monica Blunder, which the only reason I don't have it, I need to buy it again, but I over tightened mine and I broke it. I broke the glass, or maybe I dropped it or something. Either way, I broke the glass and it was like dangerous to use. So I had to get rid of it, but I love that product. It's not as stiff as the Blunder cover. You don't have to warm it quite as much, but it's something where if you apply it with a brush, it is going to blank out what is underneath it unless you spread it out a little bit more thinly, and it's going to completely camouflage into your skin and not really look like makeup, whereas this is going to give you like a more hydrated appearance. It's going to actually change the finish on your skin, and it's going to look more like a skin tint, which is what it is. People are asking a lot of foundation questions. I kind of wonder if I need to do like a big foundation roundup, like literally review every foundation in my collection or something and just swatch them all. Would that be cool for y'all? Because I really feel like that's the biggest emphasis in these questions. A lot of times, like, the emphasis of the questions is entirely like shimmer single eyeshadows. I've got none of that this time. So if you're interested in that, those are definitely in the older versions of this series. Like, there's a lot of comparisons of different eyeshadows, but I did a Bedroomized Brown eyeshadow video, and I feel like that kind of satisfied that appetite, so I think that I need to do one on foundations, a fresh one. So the thing that I got kind of the most is the comparison between Chanel, Prada, and Givenchy foundations. So let's just touch on that, because I have talked the Prada up so much that I feel like people really want to know mostly whether this is still the best in my opinion, or if I've tried something that's similar, especially for the luxury price point. So this is like $70. I think it's like $55 or something to replace the inner cartridge. And let me just tell you, since this hit Sephora, and my friends and people in my community have been getting their hands on it instead of having to order it from Europe or order it from the Prada website, which was a notorious pain in the you-know-what. Now that I'm seeing it on so many other people with different skin types and skin tones and skin ages and skin wants and needs, it has proven to be one of the most flexible formulas I've ever seen. I mean, I'm sure someone out there hates it. There's always going to be that, but like Steph loves it, Beauty Unhyped, and I love it. We never like the same things, okay? Maybe a blush, but like a complexion product, never. We have very, very different skin types, and the fact that she loves it, I love it, Natalie loves it, Tom liked it enough. The people I have seen try it all love it, and they all have different skin types is my point. So this has proven to be really, really versatile. And that's why I'm a little hesitant to recommend the About Face foundation to everybody, because unlike the Prada, I feel like every review I watch is different. Everybody's having, and like you can see it with your own two eyes, how it performs differently on different skin types, and it's like, ugh, you know? I love it, but like I am fully aware that Tom cannot get it to set down. That's important to know, you know, that's why you watch more than one creator. So anyway, as far as what's the most similar to the Prada in the Chanel lineup, I would say, because I've had the Water Fresh Tint, it's not my favorite, and I have the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint, I have the Sublimage Le Teint, even though I have like, you know, a little tiny bit of it left. I have the Healthy Glow foundation and the No. 1 Day Chanel Revitalizing Foundation, the Red Camellia, and I have the Vita Lumiere Aqua. So out of all of these, I would say that the No. 1 Day Chanel is the most similar to the Prada, but it still has a little bit more coverage, but it's really similar. The Healthy Glow is a little glowier and it has a little more coverage. It's definitely like my I'm feeling insecure about my skin foundation, because it has a great amount of coverage to it that makes me feel more confident, but it doesn't look super makeup-y. It's very pretty and glowy. So it's not similar to the Prada in that sense. The Prada wears really lightly, really, really lightly, and I feel like so does the No. 1 Day Chanel. And this wears a little bit more hydrated, I guess. And then even more hydrated is this, the L'Essence de Teint, which you can only get either on their website or at the Atelier. I don't think that you can get it at like, you know, department stores or anything. And this is like $150. It's like stupid, but it comes with a brush that I never use. I love this, but it's not similar at all. It's quite dewy. And then this is way more matte, way more matte. This is the Vita Lumiere Aqua. It's supposed to be a little bit more matte. So it's like a much more satin finish, and it's like super liquidy. Now, these are remarkably similar to one another, the Givenchy and the Prada, and when I put them side by side, which I have done before, I like the Prada better when it goes on, but throughout the day, I don't know if I can really tell the difference. The only thing I think is that the Givenchy has a little bit less coverage and it's a tiny bit glowier, but they make a less glowy version of this. So, you know, swatch it, see what you think, but it still really holds its own. They're all scented, every last darn one of them, so there's no real reason to compare them in that sense, but that's Prada LN5, and then that is Givenchy N95, which is what I wear in the concealer as well. As they dry down, you can just see that the Givenchy has a little bit more glow to it. Just a little bit. It's not like a huge difference, but it comes down to your preference, because this is just gonna have a little bit less coverage. I think the Prada is easier to be impressed with because yes, it wears beautifully all day on everyone. That's the only other thing. I have not seen a lot of other people review the Givenchy foundation because it's not new. So I can't speak to how it translates to other skin types as well as I can the Prada, because I feel like the Prada being so hyped, a lot of people have tried it lately and people have been like by and large very impressed with it. So I still think I would recommend the Prada just because I have more experience with it. Like I just feel more confident with it. It almost feels like recommending the Kosas concealer, the way that I just feel like it's a crowd pleaser. Sephora Choc versus YSL Stora dolls, however you see fit to compare. So this is interesting. I have the YSL Stora dolls quad here. I love her. I used her today. This is just such a go-to for me. Even this beige right here, like that's what I have in my crease. It's not, you know, this deep dimensional brown, like just this and the cool tone quality of it gives me this really subtle shadow in the crease that's just like daytime drama. Soap opera, daytime drama. I just love this. I love all the shades. So let's swatch them and then I'll swatch Choc against them. This is a very beautiful, velvety, soft, evenly pigmented formula. I'm just really impressed with the color story as well as the payoff of the formulas because it's like right within my comfort zone. It's easy to work with without building too much. That brown really does still pack a punch and I love the neutrality of that brown. It's just like the perfect dramatic crease shade. You can even use it as an eyeliner. I just love it. And it does lean towards that kind of cool toned neutral that I've been liking investing in lately. Hourglass Smoke is like that. The Dior Shadows Beige Mitza and Poncho are kind of like that. They go with my tiramisu eyeliner from the Sephora collection. Just that like slightly cooler version of brown, and it goes really well with the blushes that I just came out with from Ferdinand, which I believe you can still get. The gloss is sold out in 8 minutes. We just went on the inventory that we sold last time. Like that was what we based our numbers on. We had no idea that they were going to just like pop off the way that they did. Like we made a lot, but they sold really fast. Anyway, there's that. And then I have Choc right here. Let's see if I can get this bad boy open. I think I've had to like open the back of it lately. That's one thing about these is that like the packaging is pretty flawed. I wouldn't buy these unless you have a magnetic palette to put them in, the Sephora shadows, just because the packaging is really unreliable. This is a super duper gorgeous creamy formula. Oh my gosh. And this color was really recommended to me by Amanda. See, look, you'll get it. Look at that. Y'all get it. Y'all get it more than I get it sometimes. Like how completely in line those are with each other from a neutrality standpoint, from a temperature standpoint. So it really looks like if you took that brown and then layered the shimmer over it. So let's do that. There's the shimmer, and that's what happens when you layer it on top. It's a much more subtle shimmer, whereas this has like a really metallic finish to it. The other thing is that the YSL shadows are just soft and velvety. They feel a little bit like a Surat shadow or something. They just have like a really great like spreadability and like a good grip on the eyes, but they're by no means a cream. The Sephora shadow, Choc, is like borderline cream. It really is. Like it grips your finger, and when you push into it, like you make an impression in the actual pan. Like it is very emollient. It's very creamy. Maybe it's not emollient, but maybe like silicone-y, and it behaves like a cream powder hybrid almost. So yeah, those are the differences, but like you're really onto something there, especially this being like $68 and this being like 10. Like go off. But like packaging, you're getting a $10 eyeshadow, you know? Chanel foundation in the pot or in the pump bottle, both their names sound the same. So here is my Chanel Sublimage Le Teint, and it's almost done. Almost. And the advantage to this is it is the ultimate dry skin foundation for winter time. Like it is ultra hydrating. And this is the one, to use your terms, in the pot. So there's that. I'm not sure how much the swatching really helps in this case because they're the same shade. They're both B10, but the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint is more liquidy and it's less hydrating. It's still really hydrating, but it's less hydrating because this is like the most hydrating thing in the world. This is like a skincare product. It's really too much for me in the summertime. Like I fell out of love with it in the summer because it got like gooey. I was like, whoa, I'll take dewy, but not gooey. But like winter, my skin screams out for this. It's just night and day difference. This some winter days is not enough for me. Like if I'm not gonna wear a dewy primer with it or something, it's not enough. This is more of a summertime version of it. They are about the same coverage level wise. I would say that they're both kind of like a 4, you know, in terms of coverage. They both look like skin. It's just about the amount of hydration that you want. Ooh, that's good. Let me look at that. Alrighty. Armani Romanza versus Givenchy 10 Beige Nude. So this is the La Rouge Sheer Velvet in 10 from Givenchy in the beautiful velvety package. And she is gonna be a sheer formula that has a kind of matte finish, but it's a very comfortable matte finish. And it's just a beautiful color. It just goes on really effortlessly. I love it. As far as a matte is concerned, it's like one of my favorite ways to wear a matte. And then we have Armani Romanza, and this is a cream, but you're not wrong. They're very similar in shade. Romanza's a little bit peacher. These both fall into the category of my nipple color, and that is why they look good on me. I would say that the colors, you can see like this is pinker, this is peacher. It's just slightly cooler toned on shade 10 over here from the Givenchy. And I think that they have that shade in other formulas as well. I think it's kind of like a thing for them. And which one I prefer? I don't know, depends on the day. Really depends on the day. I love both. Rabanne lip balm versus YSL candy glaze. So I am guessing that you mean this from a color standpoint, not a formula standpoint. Regardless, it is worth swatching. So I did just finish my clear candy glaze, so I have to buy another one. I am actually legally obligated to buy another one. But I assumed that you meant to compare the colors, so I pulled Scenic Brown, and then the only Rabanne that I have is the Love Balm in Soul Kiss. This is the shade that is different from all the others. It's the one that just looks like nothing you've ever seen. It's this sheer, cool brown. So I'm like building the heck out of it. It is almost a lip contour. It's so beautiful. And it doesn't have a scent. It doesn't have a flavor. It doesn't have any technology in it that's trying to plump your lips or anything. It is just beautiful formula in a beautiful package. I think that this is a lights out amazing product. This is Scenic Brown, which, you know, if I bought it for Tom, you know that I love it, okay? I'm not gonna buy something for my bestie that I don't love. So I do love this, but very, very different. Very, very, very different. This is something where you're going to get more pigment payoff because there's just more pigment in it and it's literally a darker color, but it's also a slightly redder brown. I mean, most things are going to be redder than the Rabanne because the Rabanne is almost like a gray brown. You know, it's very similar, I feel like, to Haute Coco, which unfortunately sold out, sorry. But like, Rabanne is almost as cool and gray as Haute Coco. It's just a little bit pinker. And then you can see Scenic Brown is like white red. Like it's got a lot of like rich, like almost goldenness to it. And especially when you see it on Tom, because Tom has a little bit more pink in their skin than I do, that Scenic Brown really pops with like warmth against their skin tone. And so I would just be leery of that, whatever your skin tone is. If you're more cool toned, it's going to pop more, like it's going to be more contrasty on you and show up a little bit warmer. And this might be a little more accommodating. Or if you're really looking to do a cool tone lip on a warm skin tone, like this does really blank the lips out in a cool way. And I find that it also doubles as, like I said, a lip contour. So you can kind of apply it like right at the corners here and a little bit down here, and then put your lip gloss on top of it. And no one is the wiser that you've done something, but like the comments when I said that I did that, people were like, yes, your lips look plumper. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll show you. So I was wearing Cafe Noisette, and then I also have the Hourglass Exposed, the new lip liner. I'm like so into this shade because it's literally my lip color. Can't stop using it because it's just like perfect lip cheat. Look at that. You don't even have to blend it. So then, you know, am I a person who's doing like 4 steps on my lips every day? No, but it's kind of cool to have in your back pocket. So you throw that, and it's so translucent and sheer. I think anyone could use it. I don't think that it's gonna like go ashy on someone, but already look at that side versus that side. Isn't that cool? It's cool toned. So this is the power of art math. Boom, we're plumper. And then I can just put Cafe Noisette on top of that, and it's so lightweight, it's not going to interfere with anything else. So here's Cafe Noisette, and we look plumper. And it was really like, it doesn't feel any different. It's not inconvenient at all, so. I do think that the Rabanne is easier to wear because it's sheerer, but you're never gonna hear me say a sour word about the Candy Glaze formula. They're just very different. The Candy Glaze is literally a gloss. All right, and I have made the resolution after seeing so many questions about foundations and skin tints that like that needs to happen, basically. I have so many foundations that I have not compared to one another since the last time that we did like a skin tint foundation roundup, that's where those answers are going to be. I just need to make like one destination for it because that's what so many of the questions were on. We'd be here all day. So let's close it out with a final question comparing 2 of the blushes. In fact, let's compare 3 of the blushes because these are the ones that are left right now, at least as of the time that I'm filming this. The 3 blushes, Sunrise, High Noon, and Dusk. Someone said Sunrise or High Noon. We're gonna compare all of them. So the thing that I want to say about Sunrise is it is the shade for the faint of heart, truth be told. Like it is like if you are new to this color story and you want to like really dip a toe in slowly, like this is going to be the slowest building, gentlest, most like beginner friendly one for fair skin. Like it's just very, very subtle. It's super pretty. It's super easy to use. And it's just like a super easy color to wear on fair skin. Yes, you can build it, but like the impact is not going to like blow your mind instantly. It is truly like subtle and meant to go on slowly. Like when you put it on, you're just like, oh, that's lovely. You know, I would say that like immediately it's like, oh, that's lovely. But if you're like stoked on it, a lot of times, like you're stoked on that color, High Noon is going to be the one that's going to be more satisfying because it just has more color impact to it, but I believe that High Noon is the one that any skin tone can wear. I saw it on some of the people that I sent it to who have deep skin, and it is like impactful without being opaque. Then we have Dusk, and Dusk is, I mean, I saw someone with super fair skin apply it very, very subtly, and it still worked, but you can see it's more of like a richer berry color, whereas I would say that High Noon is a little bit just like pinker. That's really the breakdown. It's more about the amount of intensity that you want on your skin, not so much like what your skin is like allowed to use or supposed to use, because I've seen all skin tones wear all of them, but they are intended to be easier to use the closer to your skin tone that they are. That's the intention behind them, is to make them really versatile. So I hope that helps. And if you haven't heard me say it yet, I just wanted to say thank you. My deepest gratitude to y'all for being consistently excited about my color theory ideas. I don't think I'm that like eccentric or creative, but I do think that sometimes, you know, what I create is a little bit different. So I'm glad that y'all get it, and that makes me really happy. I want to thank y'all for being here. And before you leave, make sure that you check out the link down below to shop Ana Luisa for Valentine's Day, and thank you to Ana Luisa again for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this, please do give it a thumbs up. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, cool people subscribe. You should subscribe if you're cool. It would be very cool if you did. I will put that playlist I was talking about right here of all of my previous this or that videos, because again, if I didn't talk about it here, there's a good chance I already talked about it in a previous one, so go off, have some fun. Thank y'all so much. I love you so very, very muchly, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.